What's up, guys? This is the second episode of the Musou Showcase. Originally, I planned to do the games in relative release order. Well, the ones I was gonna do. So I was gonna do 3XL, 4XL, Samurai Warriors 5XL, Samurai Warriors 2, in that kind of structure. Due to some falling out with like scheduling and etc. Warriors fan who was here last episode. He's been working really hard, doing a lot of family stuff right now. So he could not make it for this episode. And so I wanted to do for 4XL instead, which I always plan to do with art. So any delays, that's what happened. I take full responsibility for it, of course. But this episode's pretty big. We took some extra time to fluff it up, add a lot of stuff to it, so hopefully the content outweighs the delay. The things we're going to discuss here are going to be, effective tricks in 4XL. They aren't used that often. They're well known, relatively speaking, within that type of sphere, but they're cool nonetheless, and I think the tricks are underexplained in a lot of videos that exist for them, on exactly like some pointers on how to do them, why they're effective. And then at the end, there'll be a co-op run that was done on New Game with Art and I for Others Legend mode. And we'll kind of explain the strategies as we go through that. But I think those are underlooked at categories in these games, New Game in particular, especially co-op New Game. I think it adds a lot to what would otherwise be pretty straightforward speed run. Some of these games, they're very route heavy, as in murder a single target. You just kind of go from A to B, take them out, stage ends. That makes them quite quick. But in co-op, there's a lot of secondary benefits. You can select the second character. They can do things. You can defeat enemy officers to gain stat ups, pick up items while P2 or P1 is going for an objective. So there's a lot of advantage things that you only get within the confines of co-op and New Game together. Any opening statements, Art, before we get started?
Video games.
Video games. All right. So this first clip here is I'm on Hulao Gate. This is a stage that we targeted pretty early on as something that would save a lot of time had you done it. You start pretty far from Dongzhuo. He's on the top left there, that pink dot, on that rectangle, that vertical rectangle. He's on the top. And we were like, this mountain path goes all around. There's a big gate blocking you next to Daochan that just won't open for quite a while, making the stage an easy 4-ish minute stage. So we thought to ourselves, like, okay, well, or whatever, not quite 4 minutes, I think. But I'm thinking of the other one. But there's 2 stages, basically, where this would be nominal. And so, as you saw there, I did a lot of moving around. Let's explain why there was failure on some of those attempts, and why there's success on that final attempt. Then you have to climb this mountain here. So, if we go back and we look, my angle is outward right now. It's kind of hard to see, because it's not an easy drawn line. I turn my horse, now I'm in inward angle, parallel to the mountain, right? My horse is essentially going part way through the mountain when it's at this angle, and you get off your horse, you eject off the horse at like a out and back angle, but primarily out for the part that gets you out of bounds, to the left. So it's like slight down left. When you're at an inward angle, you actually get launched along the wall. When you're on parallel, you get launched directly into the wall. When you're in an outward angle, you kind of get launched up and out, but the horse blocks you, so then you get sent down, which makes it basically an invalid angle. So if you're ever like more to the right, I guess, in this specific visual context, if your horse is angled more to the right, you will not generally get out. You're making it stricter. If you're perfectly parallel, you'll have a precise angle to hit, but it will smoothly clip you out. And if you're inward, you'll have an easier angle to hit most of the time, but you basically go out less far. So if you need a harsher angle to go out, it won't work. So there's like leniency to the angle you pick a bit. I tend to go pretty into the wall, check if I can ever get it, and then I ease up on that angle in more future runs to be able to do that. This map's lucky in that when you go into this gray zone that's out of bounds here, you actually can walk quite far before the map any dumb stuff happens. In a lot of these maps, when you walk into this gray out of bounds zone, you will just fall if you jump for any reason, or you'll just fall through the floor. And once you fall through the floor, you're pretty screwed. There are ways to recover from it, but they are all horrible. And so there's pitfalls, I call them, all over this map. But you can see this mountain range is connected, even on this screen, pretty thickly. And the game treats it as such, which lets us walk diagonally over it. But a lot of other maps, there's pitfalls everywhere. It's super dangerous, not very viable. Also, if they have a lot of, those locations enemy officers pour in through, those are really bad because they extend off the map sometimes. And if you touch them, you'll fall into them and you can't get out of them in this game almost at all, making them like super dangerous. This I'm kind of showing off that the wall is not permeable. You can't walk through this castle wall. So even if we wanted to, you couldn't go higher up and then pass through this wall. The wall is fully durable on both ends. So you have to go in to Dongzhuo from north above him or south this spot on the gate. It is open. Not all of these are open. On my castle, for example, it's double-sided protection, so you can't even enter the castle from the other side. It's tragic, but it is the way it is. This is single-sided, which is more common, meaning that you can walk in from it, but then you get stuck in bounds again. So right here, I can just walk through this doorway, but on some maps, you cannot. It's good to note that if you're looking for places to utilize a trick like this. There's a deceptive amount of places where this is not a good trick at all. You can beat the stage in like a minute, and this won't save enough time. We focus primarily on areas you can get this trick substantially saving time, whether you be trapped in an area for a seemingly predestined amount of time, or whether it will cut out distance on the map, but you can't bring a horse. So you have to be able to move fast, like Zhang He, and then give him, speed scroll so that he can move at least quite fast, and then argue that moving through a mountain while moving at that speed is good. So that's basically the end of this clip. I just smacked Dongzhuo as proof of concept. Any extra things to add to that portion, Art?
Yeah, so I did want to bring up, because some viewers may recognize, oh, well, why wouldn't you use the clip that people do on the shoe side of the map? That's closer to your starting point. Well, there's a couple problems with that clip, and that isn't to say that it's not useful. In story modes other than Shu's story mode, you don't start there. If you're playing as in Wei's Musou mode, you start on the south of the map, and if you're playing Wu's story mode, you start on the east of the map. So since the Shu side trick is a setup-based trick, and we actually haven't been able to recreate it on the Extreme Legends version at all, it's very possible that that's just not a viable option regardless. But even if it is, the other two factions can't really use it in Musou mode. So for full game runs, we needed to find an alternative.
Oh, yeah. So to clarify what he's talking about, what he's talking about is a trick you can find on YouTube where people hold forward from spawn on the original console, primarily vanilla version of 4, and they phase up the mountain with their horse, which is a separate trick, but that trick does not seem to work on XL, generally speaking. But even if it were to work, it also puts you on a weird mountain. It kind of puts you on you can get to Dongzhuo from there probably, but it puts you on top of a mountain that doesn't connect to Dongzhuo as cleanly. But you definitely can get to him. But yeah, you can just do the clipping trick that we just did on the shoe side. It's fine. But yeah, it's important to find advantage states to them on any map. And Wei was the most unsure. Like, it's far, and you have to walk through an entire castle base. So we were like, is that quite good enough? And the answer is yes, luckily. about 25, 30 seconds faster. But not all sides will be that way. Shoes, obviously a lot faster if you do it. It also has weirder spots to try to get it, because they don't have as many like clean mountain edges to go for it on, which I'll kind of express in this clip, to be honest. I didn't mean to cut you off on that, though. Art, just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
The trick is different. Do you have anything else to follow up with?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. So this Shimmy clip is pretty fast. I might go back through it a couple times, but the short and long of it is, he's stuck in this small square essentially. The game wants him to kill roughly 23 crossbowmen, and then it starts to rain. Zhuge talks for a bit, and then it lets you out, and then you walk around the map in this donut to get out. And so right here, you see I take a really harsh inner angle. I'm getting shot at by crossbowmen, so I want to get this really quickly, obviously, and for speed reasons. And you're going to see I'm not quite moving over this bend. See this little, like, spike? And because I couldn't get the trick that second to last time. Here, I also take a bad angle because these trees obscure my vision. You could go a little bit more straight along this mountain, and you do not have to climb that like I did. Especially important with him because his dash attack moves faster than his run speed without a speed scroll. So, I want to keep doing that every, like, 4 seconds. And then I'm avoiding a trigger here on this south of him on the map currently. He would trigger like a bunch of guys to spawn in front of this to stop him, and some extra dialogue and stuff, which doesn't really matter. But I'll express what I'm saying by going back through here again. So with that in mind, we'll look at those major factors. So what makes a wall good for this is one thing. So right here, you see there's like a little spike in the ground, essentially, of the mountain's polygon. And I'm feeling out on the mountain right there. See, I hit the bump, boom, boom. And I need to hit the bump generally before every attempt. Right here, I hit it again. But my angle's bad. Angle's still bad, of course. I correct it. Angle's good, I go around the bump. Boom, I get it every time, right? So, like, I can feel it out based on my angle. That camera angle is also really bad. Like, just the stage gives you that camera, and I can't fix it. So I have to do it on a weirder camera angle than before. So even if I was trying to do a setup with the visual, I probably couldn't. I do it pretty intuitively. Here, this physical fortress is all physically there. I have to go around it like this or jump over it. And then right here, I should cut pretty directly right, but I was scared I would slide in bounds on a good attempt. So I didn't do it. But you should just walk along the right now that you can see it right here. You could just walk straight right here and just walk straight and dash attack. And then dash attack again, and then you'd be at a good spot. Here, I end up getting here. This is a sheer cliff, which will slide down. So you'll see he keeps sliding down it, so I would have to jump up it. Had I just walked right from there, you would see right here, it's just normal. You could just walk along this. And it's not in bounds yet. You can see it right there on the bottom right of the screen, right next to KO count right now. And then from this whole spot here, you can just dash attack across. And if you were to go further right, not only would be that'd be a worse angle, but it would trigger the encounter, like I said. And so we get to avoid it by going straight through. And then touching this giant box right here ends the mission. The time immediately ends when it says we have escaped and your UI disappears. So even if there was an extra message there, I'm pretty sure it would end instantly anyway. But it saves a lot of time. This stage doesn't have... This is a speedrunning trick, but this game doesn't have a lot of spots where certain value systems matter. For example, jumping only applies one time on this stage, arguably with its perfect path. And his dash attack goes around some of his speed problem. So a speed scroll does not speed up his dash attack, to my information. So it likely would matter, but not as much as one would think. This is done with essentially a new game, Shimeyi. I don't have to kill a single officer, so speed of murdering or whatever doesn't matter between this and somebody else's attempt. All that would really matter is getting the trick faster, which just requires any horse, and doing it cleaner. And then the speed scroll would help for the interims between dashes. And that would be the only difference to make the run go even lower, which I definitely think it could. I did not get the trick the first 2 or 3 attempts. So,
Yeah, this can
and
be
I
a
took a
35
worse pass.
probably.
Yeah, 35 really easily. Anything you want to add, Art?
No, I can't think of anything to add to this one.
All right, this stage is pretty low anyway. It's just about a minute. But as mentioned before, if you do the stage legitimately, you generally people use Shadow Harness, understandably, because there's landmines, which I didn't discuss, that are in that base. And then you have to run over a bunch of archers. Ideally, running them over instantly kills them, so we just kind of hit them with the horse and swing while we're near them in case one shifts off to the side. And then you run over 23, which is pretty tight, admittedly. There is a line down the mountain. You go kind of forward and then right, and then you hug the wall pretty tightly so you don't hit a landmine. You swing, kill a couple dudes, go up the mountain and try to get an exact 23, but it's really, really precise. And that would be possible with red hair instead, which is 18.2% faster than Shadow Harness. So you lose some time, you gain some time type of thing. In full game runs, players like Yusuf anticipated having to use Shadow Harness because it's just so annoying to get hit by landmines. It feels terrible. But at the same time, you can now clip out. And that's a different problem. Whether that's viable in full game or not is based on the skill of the driver in this context. This trick is very skill dependent. You can just get good at it. So it's not very random at all. And we'll go into our co-op run, but you'll see here that I get a 43. The time prior to this is like 55, 52 maybe, somewhere in there.
I had a 52, yeah, playing it the normal way. And it probably could have gone down a little bit from there because I only have like level 3 Shimayi weapon. So I don't kill the bomb guys in one hit, and I only have 4 swings. So I get interrupted a lot.
Yeah. And this was a Shadow Harness, so theoretically with red hair would be different.
But there's no reason to do that anymore, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to beat the out of bounds time at all. It's just not possible.
No, it's not.
So a lot of these Legends missions ban items or bodyguards or both. We opted to route these by going for the missions that ban our items first because we can farm items on them. Dao-chan has 1 treasure box in this mission for an item drop. So I, as first player in this whole run, opt to grab it because Lubu has a naturally higher movement speed. He has the highest movement speed in the game. You know, praise to Lubu. Him, Zhonghe, and Lu Xun are the fast ones. We press start here to skip the dialogue audio, which makes it play for the minimum duration. And because there's like doors and things that we need dialogue to pass through before they'll even open, we will do it every time. This is a imperfect run of this Dao-chan stage for many reasons. The grab right here is really sad, alongside my mistakes at the end. But we opt to take this run partly because we get a Tiger Amulet first stage, which is the most valuable item we could obtain overall. There's an argument to be made that the most powerful thing to obtain is actually like maybe a speed scroll or something for Dongzhuo's stage, and then it's the Tiger Amulet. But you could just get that on the Zhurong stage we play after this, which has 2 item boxes. So we get pretty good luck. What's up?
I kind of feel like the speed scroll is not that valuable because most of the stages where you would need it, items are banned anyway. Dongzhuo, you can just get the speed boots. So
yeah, but it would just apply both.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's like overkill. Like you're not reaching the guys that some of them just run towards you. It's like, and then there's like dialogue stopping the gates from opening. Even the minimum, like the 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds that it is. I feel like even that is enough. That like, because we're playing on beginner, so we're likely to get at best like a a 3 or something speed scroll, and it's like 0.3 speed is not really, I don't think, gonna be that impactful personally.
I mean, I think it'd just purely be true to be that it'd be faster, but I think it's pretty mild. I'm just saying that it would be luckier for us to get both than just one.
Oh, for sure it would,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah.
We never end up getting speed scroll before Dongzhuo here, so it's slightly unfortunate. Here I opt to wait for the pressing start for player 2, because if you go into the stage, it adds a prompt on screen. It's an RTA thing, like time save wise, but it's just something that I'm used to doing. I take the efficient route.
Hold on, honey.
This stage is more involved. So this is supposed to be a stealth mission. There's 2 item boxes on the way, both along this mountain ridge wall for the most part. So I just kind of follow the mountain wall and I grab this box here for an item, and then further up I grab an item box after Zhao Yun. Those are the 2 item box locations on the stage. If you play this stage like super stealthy and do everything the stage wants from you, you get an elephant harness. We did test it as much as it would be a nightmare to do in a run. And the elephant's not very quick. It's about as fast as you just run on the ground on a new game, but also it like doesn't kill high enough. I jumped Zhao Yun barely there. Pretty rough. And as you can see, we're diversifying tasks here with Art here going for Zhang Liang or Zhuge Liang. So
something you might notice is that I never do full combos.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it. Yep.
Yeah, Lu Bu has on his second swing a disproportionately large amount of stun, and the third swing is lower stun for some reason. So I pretty much just 1-2 everybody throughout the entire thing as much as I can throughout the whole run, because it's basically better DPS and much more reliable than going for 3 or 4 swings or using a charge move.
Yeah, you'll see these types of things a lot in Warriors games between 2 and 4 primarily. 5 has it, but it's vanilla 5 definitely doesn't, and then 5 XL added some extra hit stun back into the game, and that one kind of has it, but it's still charge moves are made much more valuable in games on the PS3 or upward. But overall, yeah, like a lot of characters have different values. You kind of have to just look at what part of their combo makes sense. Like Lu Bu he swings 2 times horizontally, very horizontally, and the third swing for a lot of characters with pole arms especially, but a lot of characters in general, is some sort of thrust. And the finishers tend to come out quite quickly in this game, the 4th hit of his combo being a finisher until he unlocks a different combo. Instead of the game designers designing the 3 to 4 to be a fast combo, some of them opt for you know, the 6th hit to combo better, you know, because that's what you will eventually get. So they're inconsistent about which ones have good stun or bad stun on 3rd hit, unless the 4th hit, which we don't have unlocked, the real 4th hit, I guess, the combo 4th hit, would also be good. So there's dedicated speed boots in every room of this base, essentially. And so we've kind of mapped out where they are. So I take one in the first room that's directly south of me, and then Art takes the one in the next room immediately, and then he also takes this one, because again, his character's faster. So the idea being that it'd be less likely to have a problem with this guy. Unfortunately, he performs his dash attack like way too late, or didn't cancel out his walk before slapping as early, and this happened in multiple attempts. Unfortunately, it's just really hard. The game does not let you stop your dash attack like frame 1. If you release your analog stick, or even if it was a digital button, and press square 1 frame after, pretty sure there's like some sort of grace of
yeah, there's
a
like
frame or 2.
A fake buffer where it's like, yeah, you wanted your dash attack, right? You just accidentally let go of the button too early. I'm like, no.
Yeah, so there's probably like at least a 2-3 frame grace, and it screws him over. Here, I just don't like horsemen, so I keep getting in front of their horses to make sure they get away from art, and then I slap one of them off the horse. And then aside from that, I just start comboing anything with the name just so that they don't interfere with the fight, whether it be Yuan Shao or otherwise. And you see, unlike Lu Bu, Dong Zhuo's 1-2-3 is totally fine. He can combo with it. It is excellent to use. We both grab horses here because there's a lot of movement in this last section. I have to go to the top, the northwest, to obtain the treasure box that we grabbed. This will give us a saddle to use for the rest of the run, for Storm, while Art heads south to head off Zhongrong.
And this was probably this was definitely the better of the 2 fights I had against him. I just pretty much completely stun locked him from full health to death, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's not a hard science, but hitting enemies from behind in this game, they obviously can't block, but also they tend to flinch for a little longer. It's true of a lot of these games. They have a unique flinch animation where they buckle forward instead of backwards. And the devs give that like an extra, you know, maybe not a ton of frames, but maybe, you know, 2-3 frames of extra stun, which will make it really easy to loop them. But even if they were to get out of stun, they wouldn't be able to block. So, quite exceptional if you can get lucky enough to get somebody from behind like that. It'll get you a lot of advantage in these games.
If it wasn't obvious, the reason that I'm using Lu Bu consistently throughout all of them is not just that his moveset is effective and his speed is high, but just to dump weapon experience into him so that he's stronger every single mission we play him, which is not an option that Nylon has, because on New Game you have to play the default character for every map for player 1.
Absolutely. We also obtained a Tortoise, a pretty high level Tortoise amulet there. This might seem ineffective in a speedrun, like, why would you need defense? But 5 is not only really high, like, the levels in this game are disproportionate to the value that they give. So, like, Tiger Amulet, every level's worth 2. Dragon, every level's worth 8. You know, they're not the same number internally. And we'll leave a spreadsheet down below with a bunch of Dynasty Warriors data we're grabbing for the showcase that I'm data mining while we're playing the games. So if you want some information, they'll be a little bit, like, scarce, but they are still, they still will include a lot of that extra data that might not be as well known.
Yeah, they're working progress.
But my point is, Dragon Amulet, or sorry, Tortoise Amulet, the reason why defense would be good is actually because flinch ratios. If enemies do below, we'll just say 20 damage, your character's average about 145 health. If they do like less than 10 damage or something, or 15 damage, they can't flinch you. Or like they have to hit you more times before you start to flinch. And so that is a big deal, obviously, if you don't want to be interrupted, if you want to keep comboing guys. So we opt to obviously utilize defense as much as possible so that Lu Bu here can slap this guy over and over again with nobody being able to stop him, basically, because the guys behind him wouldn't be able to flinch him. And we go for 2 separate item boxes each. This stage has the most. It's a good grind stage overall. But I grabbed the 2 on the like middle of the ladder type visual on the minimap. Here I opt to press Musou because I used a 4th attack finisher on that guy, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to knock him over. So I canceled my Musou. It lasts longer screen freeze wise because it was saying that, you know, Art could provide a secondary Musou.
And even though we finished it fast, all our compatriots still toaster bathed to take out the enemies, which is a really sad ending for that stage.
Yeah. We do get a lightning orb and a speed scroll here, which is good. I mean, this is the item stage. At this point, all the stages have items allowed. So, political commentary or not, only the female stages don't have items allowed on other side.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's no reasonable way to do Mungha's stage first, because if we need the horse or we lose like 45 seconds for free, which means we have to do Dongjua first.
Yeah, so we get the items to get Dongjuos to potentially be any faster, which I'm sure matters because the extra power is going to matter at the end of Dongjua stage and Yuan Shao that we have to fight in that stage. So there's a lot of fighting in Dongjua stage, which is kind of cool. Here I originally recorded this with the idea that I would just take out the westmost gate captain to seal the gate, and then try to perform an out of bounds to get a funny clip where I would like win the stage and start dancing on ethereal void was basically the point of it. But the trick is really hard to land within the short time that the stage actually takes. This stage only requires that you seal all of the enemy strongholds and beat Huanggai, which is something you could do extremely quickly when you have a second player to take out the one on the west. I'm also doing this setup wrong. I did this before I knew how to do this clip consistently, because we recorded this run well before we started doing a lot of out of bounds testing. So nowadays I could get this clip like probably 3 tries. But when I was recording this, I do a lot of things wrong. Regardless of if my angle or my distance is correct, I'm not resetting by walking across that like polygon I was talking to you about on the far south of my screen right here. I do it. Doing that is important because it actually shoves you further out of bounds into the wall, and that's what lets you go through. In fact, in Samurai Warriors, which we'll go over next week or maybe the week after, when we do that game has giant invisible walls protecting all these corners because they saw that you could clip all of them in 4 in development, and clearly removed it from Samurai Warriors. And in 5 it's pretty similar. In 5 you can shimmy through a lot of them, so I wouldn't be surprised if they theoretically existed somewhere. But 5 is relatively glitchless, but it is very glitchy looking. So there's a non-zero chance that there might be one somewhere in that game. And, you know, if we find it, it'll be in the showcase. This stage is more involved, I would say. Yuan Shao's stage involves us. I take over the north side of the map, he takes the south side of the map. There's 2 item boxes on the south side of the map, so he also will grab those. We definitely could move north and south between the 2 areas as we know who's coming up and where they spawn from. Particularly, I remember pretty well. But I think that, I think, like, the advantage it adds is very minimal. Most of these guys die extremely quickly to the Lubu setup or even to myself deceptively. Yuan Shao, as much as he might be a gag character in some of the titles, is very strong in this game. They gave him like a pretty good C1, a bit on the weak side in terms of raw damage. But lunges really far, builds a lot of bar, more or less. Not as much as it could. Sinjan's is kind of better. And then he has the Liu Bei Musou, essentially. This sword Musou that Yuan Shao and Liu Bei have versus the one Dongjuo has, or Cao Cao or whatever, keeps enemies grounded the whole time. And in these games, not all of them, like the Warriors Orochi game have this significantly less, but in a lot of these games, launching people into the air drastically reduces damage fall off, or like makes it scale really badly, like from a fighting game perspective. It essentially like halves your damage, and then reduces it even further per hit. So Musous that don't instantly launch are exceptional, like Zhang Liao's or Liu Bei slash Yuan Shao's. They deal a ton of damage. The other weird thing about those Musos is they kind of mean that, like, those characters that I just referred to as true Musos, the ones that are on fire or when they're at low health, they deal less damage rather than more, because launching people and lighting them on fire in this game is just not that strong. Launching them is horrible, and lighting them on fire is just not very powerful in this game. So all in all, it's not effective. So you'll see here against Zhang Fei, I'm able to just Musou, I just chop at him, and it just kills him. If that had been a true Musou or something else, there's a good chance he would literally not die from that until like 3 more cuts, which is kind of crazy. You can see for Lu Bu's, the first hit of Lu Bu's also doesn't launch, but every attack after does. So if he only taps his Musou, he'll hit him on the ground, launch him, but the launcher hit won't deal reduced damage because the person was on the ground. And then he'll just do like this overhead hit that will likely miss anyway.
The guy we fight at the end of this mission, it doesn't matter because he can't be flinched or launched.
Yeah. He can be like hit lag staggered so that he doesn't swing, but he is on shadow, so he doesn't flinch and he doesn't get knocked off his horse. So really a uniquely annoying entity, honestly.
It's kind of interesting that they only did that one time. Like, there was potentially room for like more variance in what kind of bosses they put in the Legends game. Mostly the same stuff that was bosses in the main game. But they're like, oh, well, what about this guy? You can't ever knock off his horse. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but it's kind of cool that they experimented a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily, we're playing 2 characters that have reasonably good moves for hitting people who are already on a horseback. I mean, Yuan Shao is forced to play this stage on solo, so usually that wouldn't matter. He just hits just high enough that he often hits this guy on the horse. And if you stay relatively in front of it, you're good to go. You're not going to get hit. And yeah, so this is sort of like the idea, right? New game, I can get stat pickups like against the eunuchs on 10 eunuchs or whatever. Kill them, my ally can pick them up. Or we can diversify tasks. All this to say that the showcase is more to express in this section that I think these categories matter a lot. They should be applied to more boards, but also like people should try them out, you know? The reality is they're not on boards partly because people don't play these types of categories enough. And I think they're fun to engage with your friends, like, oh, you do this, I'll do this. Finding, you know, various things that only work through co-op expression is a good thing to do. Like, you know, this stage is one of the only stages that's like sort of semi-anti-affected by your ally. I'm sure it's about even with your ally and a single player potentially, but the game's going to split spawns somewhat between the two of you. And so we opt to have, you know, Art stand next to a spawner and then basically just kill, you know, if there's a gate captain, basically just kill him to stop the spawner around him so that they all just keep spawning around me instead of him. We can see that right here, like he's just staring into the void because they're all going to appear around me and not him with where he is and what he's doing. And we need a certain amount of kill count, and the game doesn't necessarily seem to split the kill count. Again, this stage is also like partially a timer. So like, it's a mix of both for sure. So you can't just like kill 2,000 dudes and then like it instantly spawns Liu Bei and his friends. That doesn't work that way. It's like you have to be a sequence of conditions, many of which feel to be affected by kills, but it's also clearly not morale, because if you look at the top left of this, top right of the screen, it's basically full. So, you know, kind of an auto-scroller stage, but part of the reason we originally thought to buff Lu Bu to the extent that we did in co-op was, oh, we would need to make sure to one-shot everybody in the stage, not just like private level enemies. We want to one-shot the sergeants and the captains, etc. That we occasionally have to fight that are armored, especially the ones that come in later. but it mostly doesn't matter that much on this stage. Like, we did this attempt with no memory card first, and that didn't save any stat increases or items picked up.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, okay, that's how the game works. Cool, good to know. This happens in a lot of PS2 games deceptively.
I think it's fine in Musou mode is the thing, because it saves it as one continuous, or treats it as one continuous session, but Legend mode doesn't work that way, so you just get screwed if you don't save after every stage.
Yeah. You might be barely safe in Musou mode, but I'm not even 100% on that. But it is crazy.
Nothing on the bottom screen.
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Just me. I was messing around with Turbo because I had nothing else to do.
Oh, yeah.
One really cool thing about NG runs that's I'm coming to appreciate is that you don't have to spend 30 hours setting up a save to be competitive. Because that you don't, in theory, we plan to have saves available for NG plus categories as necessary to avoid the problem of lots of the saves on, say, game FAQs being hacked. But still, there's some amount of setup involved in that at the moment. NG, you can just pick up the game and like, oh, I'm just gonna play well and get a good time. That's all you have to do. So that's kind of cool.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think these categories are cool, regardless of it's co-op or just new game or both together. I think the importance is bringing more people to play these games and try these types of categories out, whether or not you get a world record level time. I think it's just important that you play it and post your times at all.
We would love to see more times on the board, for sure.
But yeah, any send-offs, or we end the showcase and we come back for Samurai Warriors next week or the week after?
Play this game, speedrun this game. It's fun, it's cool. You'll have a good time, unless you're on expert, and then you won't. But that's fine. There's no obligation to play on expert people.
Absolutely. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to join the Warriors Discord through any of the speedrun.com links that was linked to the Discord. You can join there. Or you can just DM me on Discord under the same name, Nylan, that is. And I'll answer whatever about any sort of nitty-gritty questions. If you're asking me like boring questions, I might ignore you, but not boring questions, but rather superfluous ones that don't mean anything. But if they're, like earnest questions about the game, how it works, speedrun stuff, tricks, whatever, leaderboard stuff, for sure, I'll respond to all of that. And yeah, look forward to this Samurai Warriors run. I think that Samurai Warriors is a very rigid game in the sense that it's not that glitchy. Despite being made a lot in this engine, but improved, it is so heavily protected against all the notable glitches we see throughout the entire Dynasty Warriors franchise, despite having crazier horse mechanics, like jumping off your horse while in midair. It seems to be impervious to all the obvious tricks that have befalled the franchise. So it's very glitchless. If I find one, I'll try to post it, but realistically, I have yet to, and I put a lot of time into it. A substantial glitch rather than like an interim save-based one. Because we generally don't do those in speedruns. They're kind of antithetical to the way some people see speedrunning, especially. So either way, though, I think we'll be focusing on that. I might bunch Samurai Warriors 1 and 2 into the same video. I really love Samurai Warriors, especially 2, but given there's not a lot of things to talk about in regards to specifically the way the franchise is as a speedrun or a glitch or whatever, I think it might end up being more comprehensive about what the game did to change the formula of Dynasty Warriors, like where are its strengths as a game, alongside speedrun-based concerns and speedrun-based strategies that I think are underlooked at. And I'll let this like footage wrap up, but that's basically it for this week's showcase. Again, sorry for the delay. If you know people's schedules clear up, etc., we'll go back to 3 at some point, or we might do it before the release of 3R. As sort of a in anticipation of 3R. But we look forward to having you all try out these games. And again, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Possibly do now. Retreat! All men, fall back!